Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of our podcast, University Journey in Australia. And I'm thrilled to be joined by Dr. Avinash Singh and Ms. Jacqueline Pope from UTS. Dr. Avinash Singh is the Senior Lecturer in School of Computer Science at UTS, and Ms. Jacqueline Pope is the International Coordinator in Engineering and IT Faculty. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us now. Myself is Avinash, as I introduced. I'm a senior lecturer in School of Computer Science and Australian AI Institute, mostly teaching AI and computer science related subject in UTS, and also do different kind of research like a mixed reality and what we call brain-computer interface and so on. So that's about it. Thank you.
My name's Jacqueline Pope, and as Nam said, I'm the International Coordinator in the Faculty of Engineering and IT. I've been deeply involved with student recruitment for about 20 years now, and so I really respect international students and really enjoy the process of talking to them about UTS and welcoming them to campus. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the introduction. So I have the first question for you, Dr. Avinash. So your core focus areas are machine learning, cognitive neuroscience, mixed reality, and neuroadaptive brain-computer interface. Could you share how your research in AI and brain-computer interfaces might shape the technology in the future?
Thank you again to adding those nice and fancy words. Brain-computer interfacing is essentially interface we're talking about. We interact with pretty much every technology, phone to TV to car and everything, through a touch and similar kind of interface, like I'm talking about self-driving car and so on and so on. So having an interface, it is a natural pathway where this interface becoming slowly disappear and more natural way of interacting, like how I can pick up this water glass with my hand. And maybe in the future, maybe I don't even need to do it. I simply have to think about this kind of interface and this water glass, more Jedi style, come to me. So that's the future I think we are heading into, and there's a quite of bid on this from some of the biggest companies around the world, including Meta, Microsoft, and similar other big companies, especially from field of IT and computer science, which we're talking about here today. So I think AI is the one which fueling this progress, and interface is something which we're coming and going to see in the very close near future, an evolved version of interface. And that's what I do, which I enjoy a lot. And lots of students, especially international students, work with me in this journey of this research.
Okay, next question for you as well. With technology changing so fast, which IT majors do you think will be the most in demand in the next 5 to 10 years?
It's a difficult question, but what I observe myself, or in my opinion, Bachelor of AI, which UTS offer, as well as a Bachelor in IT, they both of these one, and there are a few others as well. They cover quite a depth what's happening at this moment in the field, especially in artificial intelligence, for example, or computer science in general, where you not just learn programming, but also how to solve the real world problem. So those are the skill set which pretty much required everywhere you go, anywhere in the industry to work on. And I think these fields are translating into something more in next coming 5 to 10 years, especially AI, which UTS offer, for example, where AI is evolving into pretty much everyday, day-to-day life for each of us, and same happening in the industries as well, where AI is becoming very closely working as another way to interact with the employee, like a programmer. Their programming is not working alone anymore, they're working together with the AI. So that togetherness also required a depth of understanding how AI actually interacting with you and what they are doing. So there are people needed who also understand AI at depth level. And I think Bachelor of AI is one of such program, for example, in UTF that offer such a depth. And this is not just a field of demand this moment, but this is a field of demand for the future as well, and more, not the less.
Yes. So you have Bachelor of AI, and you also have the option to study to the PhD level in AI. So in terms of application, what is the difference here?
So Bachelor of AI, when we have a student Bachelor of AI, they actually learn quite fundamental level of artificial intelligence, not just focus on application, but also a theoretical concept, which is very, very important to build that base for understanding, create those applications in the future. And when they go, of course, in PhD in AI or something similar, PhD is a kind of very different pathway. It's all about research, and you bring your problem in and you try to solve those problems based on the skill you might receive in your bachelor or master's degree. So in this case of Bachelor of AI to PhD, your major skill set might be AI, which you can bring into PhD research and maybe use that skill set and of course enhance it with some other skill set which you might be learning during your PhD and apply that knowledge to solve a real world problem. So that's one fundamental difference. But really, in the nutshell, Bachelor of AI is not just application focused, like I said. It's all about building the basis, which is missing in lots of industry out there. And the reason behind why these skill sets are missing, because at least if you go back in last few years backward, then artificial intelligence generally come up when people go in master's and PhD level, then they go and learn that deeper level of understanding of artificial intelligence. But we are offering here in Bachelor of AI similar kind of a level of understanding. So students come with, when they completed their Bachelor of AI, they have such a vast understanding of artificial intelligence that if you give them a problem, they were able to solve this strategically and systematically as it's required to come with a very original solution, which is not possible otherwise.
Thank you. How can a student prepare during high school if they're interested in studying IT or engineering at UTS?
If someone interested in the high school level and want to go UTS, Bachelor of IT or Bachelor of AI even, I think they might want to focus more on, for example, maths, which is quite essential in both of them. Most of the subject and programming in general, right, required a lot of problem solving and good understanding of mathematics. So an interest in maths would be very advantageous when they go in the subject. If they have a chance to learn some programming language at the high school level, introductory or anything, that has another great advantage for them when they go into university level of programming, because it just build up some basic basis for them. And of course, like I suggest, extracurricular activities are very, very useful. And when I say extracurricular activities, essentially means you're working with a team, you're working in a group, you're taking part in competition. It helps you to open and adapt. And this is what we also do a lot in University of Technology as well with their students. So it helps to grow. So have a little exposure of those things would be very, very beneficial for high school students when they come to UGS, and they will not shy away with those activities and things and all the courses and learning as well.
Beautiful. So basically mathematics, basic programming, and extracurricular activities.
And just to add further to what Avinash was saying, in terms of if you're somebody that's in Year 12 at the moment and wants to make sure that you're studying the right subjects before you come and study engineering or IT at UTS, it's really important that, as Avinash said, that you are taking mathematics. On the engineering side, we also require physics and English. And if you're thinking to major in something like civil engineering, chemical process engineering, or biomedical engineering, we do recommend that you take chemistry. And then on the software engineering side, as Avinash said, programming is also strongly recommended.
How does employability for international graduates differ across the main engineering streams?
At UTS, in our engineering faculty, as you probably are aware, we have about 14 majors at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels. So there is a lot of variety in terms of the type of engineering that you can study at UTS. When it comes to what's most in demand in Australia and in New South Wales in particular, We've recently read a report that says that New South Wales requires about 200,000 new engineering graduates over the next decade or so. And the areas that are most in demand at the moment are in civil engineering, electrical and electronic engineering, and things like transport engineering and also software engineering. So those are the areas where we're seeing a lot of employability and a lot of demand in the industry for those specific engineering disciplines.
Thank you for the answer. What challenges might international students face when studying IT and engineering in Australia?
So I think a lot of the challenges that international students face are pretty universal regardless of what discipline you might be studying, because obviously there's the challenge of moving away from your home and what's familiar to you and then moving to an entirely new country. But in terms of engineering and IT, what you might find challenging initially as a new student is the teaching style at UTS, which might be a little bit different from what you've experienced in your home country, whether that's at high school level or in your bachelor's degree, because we do have a style of teaching that is really collaborative. You're expected to speak up in class and to work in groups with people that may be from backgrounds that you haven't interacted with before. So that I think is probably something that people do find challenging initially. We've really moved away from lecture and tutorial-based learning into more practical style learning, and I think that is challenging for people initially. But when we speak to our alumni a couple of years after they've graduated from UTS, they really highlight that style of teaching was a highlight for them from their experience at UTS. So I would say to students, yes, you may find that challenging initially, but ultimately I think it will be to your benefit when you go out into the job market to be able to speak to your practical skills and to give concrete examples of projects that you've worked on during your study.
So you mentioned a different teaching style, different from the traditional approach. So from my understanding, the traditional approach, so students go to lecture and then they attend labs and tutorial. What is the difference here at UTS?
When we say there's a different style, there's a bit more practical, a bit more hands-on learning style we have. So we still have sometimes lecture, but the difference between what lecture happen in traditional style versus what we do, it might be very hands-on lecture. What it means, for example, I do teach programming, and when we start teaching it, I'm not looking at the slide and going through the slide, just reading it through or things like that. And instead, I open a software for that programming subject and maybe go in the software and start showing how things working. But same time, I'm writing few pieces of code here and there and showing to students as well to follow with me, or maybe follow afterward, because in some cases they follow it afterward. Whereas in the tutorial session, these same student may go into a lab, where dedicated lab with dedicated tools in certain place in the UTS, and they were given the exercise that they have to solve these exercises in given amount of time. Now, once the exercise is completed, then there will be a person, generally in 30-to-1 ratio. There's always at least one person for 30 students in this scenario, and we call them tutor, and these tutor will start solving this problem with the student. So again, very hands-on in that situation as well, instead of just going through paper and notebooks and text only. So that's what it means when we talk about hands-on learning in this scenario.
I also know that UTS have the recorded lecture, so the student can go through the lecture at their own pace.
Very true. So when we do this lecture, of course, we're doing the lecture live and students attending that. Let's say you are a person, you missed the lecture, or even you want to follow up the lecture later on. So all the lecture, that live lecture is also recorded and shared with the student. They can watch it afterward if they like, or they can just follow it for different assessment or assignment if they have to cover this lecture again. So yes, it's always available for students, pretty much every subject.
Beautiful. Can you please tell us more about the built-in internship program at UTS for engineering and IT?
So starting on the engineering side of things, in our flagship undergraduate program, which is the Bachelor of Engineering Honours, we do have a built-in 12-week internship that students will generally undertake in the third year of their 4-year degree. So the way the professional practice stream is structured, there's a preparation subject that students do in the semester before they go out onto their internship. So that subject is designed to give them all the preparation that they need, including designing their resume, accessing Career Hub where all the internships are posted, preparing for their job interview, and essentially learning about what the Australian job market is like and what it's like to apply for a job. Then once they've completed that subject, then the next semester they're enrolled into the engineering work experience subject, where they will go out into industry and complete 12 weeks of work experience. And then the semester following that, they come back onto campus and enroll into what we call a reflection subject. And that's where they speak about what they've learned while undertaking their internship, and also learning about what other students have gone through and experienced during their internship. So that applies for engineering. And then on the IT side, internships are not embedded into the course in quite the same way that they are in engineering. But as Avinash was highlighting in his answer before, the subjects that we do have in our IT degrees are really practice-based. So students do get industry interaction through some of the studio subjects. And there is also through the Career Hub database that I referenced earlier, the opportunity to go in and apply for internships really at any time during their degree. But of course, that will not be part of their degree. They will not receive credit for that internship, but it is certainly possible for IT students to also undertake an internship during their studies.
Thank you. So AI and cybersecurity are booming fields right now. Looking ahead, which areas within these fields do you expect will see the most growth and demand?
AI and cybersecurity obviously both sounds very fascinating field, right? And sounds very attractive, not just because they are very unique, but they are growing very fast. So if I have to choose one, then potentially it's AI, because that also indirectly solves the cybersecurity. I think the both field independently also very, very important, and they're growing very fast in the market. Everything now is a data, everything is about software, everything about interaction. Because of that, the more secure system building has become a necessity of pretty much every industry and the software. And that's why the cybersecurity requirement and the demand for people who have done cybersecurity went quite up in recent years. And this is going to be more and more up, because coming future, thanks to AI, system might be behaving even more automated fashion. That means there's even more potential to make them more cyberly and secure system. So again, if I want to put 1 and 2, so I think these both fields are growing pretty fast. If I have to select only one, maybe AI is the one which where we're heading into the next 5 to 10 years potentially, both for cybersecurity and of course AI itself.
It's very interesting that you highlighted that the development of AI leads to the development of cybersecurity as well, because of the huge amount of data. Within AI, so AI category is broad. Within AI, what is the future in the AI, in the artificial intelligence?
I think the major creation or development in AI is happening where how this AI can interact with the human. AI can do a lot of job by itself already. But the problem is how to interface or interact with this AI. So for example, ChatGPT, you can type a message and that's how you interact. Or you can record a message and that's how you interact. There's a lot of effort just goes into how to make this interaction in a way that we can trust the AI and we can understand what's happening behind the scene, what we call trust in AI, and explainable AI and so on. So if I want to put this in a way, so it's a natural language processing, which is a kind of a need of interaction with AI, and that direction is also growing pretty fast. That's the one. But at the same time, what we call multimodal AI, what it means, we're talking about text, like a ChatGPT. We're talking about videos, like what we're doing here in this podcast, and we're also talking about the sound, which is I'm speaking. So sound, video, as well as a text. How to use these three information next to each other in a way that makes sense about the surrounding. So that's where a lot of effort goes into. So with the video and very similar direction in AI, generally known as a computer vision, which is growing field as well. And like I said, natural language processing, so the sound and the text, they all both are connected with natural language processing field of AI. So these are just the two which I'm thinking at this moment, but there's a lot more happening specifically behind the scene around how to make AI explain itself, what's going behind the scene, because things becoming more automated. And if you want to trust these technologies, so we also want to understand humane way what's going behind the scene. So that's where the trust part comes in. So that's another field also growing. And that's also connected with cybersecurity. We're talking just a bit few seconds ago.
Thank you, very interesting. What is the expected salary range for IT and engineering graduate in Australia?
So the average salary for both technology jobs, by which I mean things like software developers, UX designers, cybersecurity specialists, and also things like civil engineering and electrical engineering, is about a range of between about $120,000 to $150,000. So that's your average salary within the market. So a student freshly graduated from either an engineering or an IT job can probably expect to earn a little bit less than that in the first few years of their career, so probably between $70,000 to $90,000. But the expectation based on that average range would be that, within 5 to 6 years, they may be up over the six-figure mark and earning something close to that average. So as I was highlighting earlier, there is a lot of demand for both engineering and technology graduates. So there is a really great opportunity for students to go in and to start earning close to $100,000 immediately upon graduation.
From which year do students usually look for a part-time job?
In my opinion, I don't have an exact data or number, but generally when students reach the second year of their degree, they start, searching, start sending their CVs around and start trying to find even an internship if they can land. And to be honest, generally internships are relatively easier than getting a part-time job in the field. And most of the students start trying to get these internships. And how they got into this internship is mostly because of some of the subjects they take. For example, the studio subject, as Jackie mentioned in earlier conversation. So studio subject required students to work with an industry partner in a group of 4 to 5 students. So they get this 4 students interacting with this one industry partner for 12 to 14 weeks continuously every week. And they build up this connection over time. And those students generally doing pretty good job in those groups, obviously caught in the eye of the industry partner, and they're generally interested in them more. And that's where they might able to land up an internship or maybe a part-time job, which is a little complicated, but generally internship is more potential and possible for these students. So this is happened mostly around the second to third year, end of the third year. And that's where they start the internship and part-time job search started by students.
And I think one of the things that students should also think about when it comes to the part-time jobs is what an advantage it is that UTS is located right in the heart of Sydney. So because Sydney is Australia's technology hub, so a large percentage of technology companies base their headquarters in Sydney. So I think UTS's location in the heart of Sydney is a real advantage for students, and whether that's pursuing internships in their chosen field or looking for an unrelated part-time job, as a lot of students do, I think, particularly in the first couple of years of their degree. There is a lot of opportunities to find different types of jobs. So I think with the skills that they develop during those part-time jobs, that they may not plan on staying in for longer than the time that they're studying, then they can transition through the studio subjects and the industry interaction that they get. They then have the opportunity to apply the skills that they've learned in their part-time job along with the technical skills that they're gaining in their career to then transition into an internship and then potentially a part-time job in their chosen field.
Perfect. Thank you. So UTS Apple Foundation program is what I'm going to ask you about. What do students benefit from joining that foundation program and how to get in?
So Apple Foundation program, obviously with Apple, is a partnership between UTS and Apple to offer this very special 3 to 4 weeks long program, sometimes 3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks. During this 4-week long program, which is very intense by the way, every student has to dedicate 5 to 6 hours every day for over 4 weeks. And we teach them, or I should say mentor them, we use the mentoring word there. So we mentor them. We start from ideation stage, design skill, how to solve the problem, or even problem statement, how to come up with that, something which is very hard and very close to you, and translate that, and then we start delivering. Generally from the mid of second week, we start delivering some technical knowledge as well, how to transform those ideation you have so far into an actual product. In this case, product is mostly Apple apps, so iOS apps, because it's Apple subject, Apple related program, and we ask them to do that development for remaining 2 weeks. So it's not just about, so essentially students learn from ideation to completely developing app and as well as storytelling. So it's like a complete package in one little subject we just offer. It's not even subject, to be honest. It's a program. It's open for any UTS student. Anyone can apply within Faculty of Engineering IT, actually even beyond Faculty of Engineering IT, for example, science or health and so on. And of course, Faculty of Engineering and IT are the most interested students want to go in this program. And to have them come in, where we have only maximum 30 students at a time, there's quite a demand. So obviously we have this additional application process. It's not a credit-based course, by the way. This is a completely independent program. We still give a certificate to students. These students who want to come into this program, generally we want to understand how curious they are, how much interested they are in solving a problem, how much open they are to learn this different kind of a skill set we teach with those 4 weeks. And based on those questions, there's no right and wrong question, but we ask them to write these questions and apply through a portal we have for Apple Foundation program on UTS website. And then we choose and interview them as well. So we maybe call them, and in some situation we interview them and ask them why they're interested in this program. And once this process finishes, then we select 30 out of our students. But there's no restriction. They can't apply following year. If they fail into that certain year they apply, let's say it's the first year, they can apply second and third year again. And there are so many students who fail in the first 2 times and they upskill themselves during different other courses, and they apply another time and they're successful to join the Apple Foundation program. So that's a general setup of this program, and lots of success stories from that program itself. Students are working from the great industry related to Apple, obviously, as a one example, or some of them also went into pathways of entrepreneurship, where they want to create their own ideas, develop their ideas, and want to create a company. Also supported by UTS startup that we call it.
Yes. Final question: what makes the difference between graduates who succeed and those who struggle?
Thanks. I think that's a really interesting question, and I think something that all the students listening are going to be super keen to hear the answer to. So I think when I read the stories of our successful alumni and read back on their reflections on what their time was at UTS, a few things that really stand out about the students that are successfully working in their chosen field, whether that's in Sydney or elsewhere, is they're able to speak to a more well-rounded experience at UTS. So it's not really enough to just come onto campus, turn up to your classes and get passing grades. That will get you your degree, yes, but it's not going to make you stand out from the crowd or introduce you to any people that may be able to help you go further in your career. So I can think of one student in particular called Tian, who graduated from our Bachelor of IT. He's a Ho Chi Minh local, and he's currently working as a software engineer in Sydney right now. And he speaks really clearly about the importance of joining student societies. So he, upon joining UTS, was during orientation week, he joined the programming society and the engineers society immediately. So that puts you in contact with other students. It helps you to make friends, which is also a really important part of making the most of your UTS study. And he also took advantage of some of the other networking opportunities that UTS offers. He was part of Game Jam. He joined Tech Fest, where we have showcases where students get to show off the projects that they're working on in those studio subjects, and that can be biomedical projects, it can be AI projects, it can be software projects. And we have industry mentors and representatives come onto campus and judge the students and award prizes to the projects that they deem to be the best. So I think for a student to really make the most of their time and be successful, it's important to take part in those extracurricular activities. And you don't get credit towards your degree, but it helps you stand out. It helps you be able to fill in your resume with key projects and key activities that you've taken place. And I know that we've also got students who've actually found their first job through people that they've met by participating in some of those activities. So it for some people it can be a bit intimidating to put themselves out there, but to be perfectly honest, those are the students that really do succeed, is the people that really do more than just focus on their studies, and they take advantage of all those other great opportunities. And I think that's the most important aspect of being successful.
Thank you. Connection that you highlighted.
Exactly.
Is very, very important.
It is, yeah. And I think that's, networking, having the practical skills and the technical skills is really important. And of course, our degrees are really geared towards making sure our graduates are work ready, that they can go out and immediately achieve in their chosen field. But it's not just about having technical skills, it's about those skills you've developed in your part-time job in a cafe. It's being able to articulate your ideas, it's being able to demonstrate that you've had leadership experience, that you can project manage, and you do develop those skills partly through those studio subjects, but also by taking part in societies and meeting with people from lots of different backgrounds, because you truly never know who's going to be the person that leads you to your first job.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Avinash Singh and Mrs. Jacqueline Pope. I hope you have a great time in Vietnam. Hopefully in the future we will catch up again and we talk about a lot more successful students from UTS that finished completed university and successfully transitioned to jobs, to careers that they dream of. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.